Hello everyone, welcome to Just Invest Today, and today we have a good video for you guys. Today we're talking about Ray Dalio, and I think he might be predicting another market crash. Who knows, but he says that if these things happen, what is the US, what is Canada, what is everyone going to do when the market tumbles? Because, guys, just a little bit of interest rate increases, man, is having a negative effect on the market. So that's what Ray Dalio sees in the future. So let's read some of this article and get into it. So Ray Dalio says Fed can't tighten without having big negative effect on markets. And this is what Ray Dalio has been clamming for, talking about for the last couple months. But who knows what's gonna happen? But man, Ray Dalio is like one of the supreme macro investors. So when he says something, you always have to listen to what his words and just kind of take it all in for what it is. So you saw the reaction in the markets when the Fed just even hinted at a tightening. I don't think they can tighten a lot without having a big negative effect. And guys, you seen how the Fed just had its meeting and then they're just basically saying that, there's not a lot of inflation hikes. Guys, we just seen inflation going crazy and the Fed is just like, no, 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 it's not happening. But we know what's happening in the markets when you see housing going up like 24% in like May, and like all the lumber prices, the steel prices, like home building is more expensive, like even consumer products, like you can see all that stuff is getting higher and higher. So when the Fed says, oh, this is not happening, but we see in real terms on the ground floor, stuff is getting more expensive, even energy. So the Fed is actually lying to us. And then plus on the interest rates, it said, oh, it's not going to raise interest rates until like 5 years from now. Boom. You see from this article, they're just raising interest rates a little bit by a little bit. So, and then you're just seeing how the markets actually has that negative effect and how it's reacting to that. So you can't really listen to what the Fed is saying right now because they're kind of doing the opposite. They don't want any market turmoil. So they're going to ease into everything that's happening right now. So Ray Dalio, billionaire investor and founder of Bridgewater Associates, the world's largest hedge fund, took note Monday at the topsy-turvy reaction across financial markets last week to the Federal Reserve signaling that it could begin to lift rates sooner than investors had expected and that policymakers had started to discuss eventual slowdown of its monthly asset purchases. And that's what's happening. The Feds are still saying they're buying assets like monthly, so they're not stopping it, but they're gonna eventually stop buying as much. So what is that going to do to the financial markets? Can the Fed like resist the quantitative easing? Like if they see a little decline, can they resist and stop it? Because eventually it's gonna have to happen. So how the market's gonna react? The yield curve flattened violently, with short and medium dated yields rising sharply last week as long-term yields fell. The dollar soared and equities ultimately slid through growth-oriented shares outperformed.
An investor, we've seen that pivot of some kind by the Fed last week, quite a calm market reaction. But should investors generally be taking this threat a lot more seriously?
There are different kinds of inflation. I'm not particularly worried about the classic supply, demand pressing up against supply, although we'll find out soon because there's something like 10% of GDP stored in financial assets that's going to be coming out. And so it's likely that there's going to be a big pickup in demand, and that will probably raise prices significantly. And it also depends how you count for inflation because like housing prices themselves are going up a lot, but rental prices are going down a lot. The big things I think are, and if you went to a 3% inflation rate or some bounce, that's not one of those things that gets me very nervous or very excited. The real issue is that we have a supply-demand issue of bonds because we're going to have to sell a lot of bonds to those in the world who own bond inventories. And they have very low interest rates, negative real interest rates, and they're overweighted in U.S. bonds, and they're going to have to buy a lot more. And that is also coming at a time when Chinese capital markets, other capital markets are becoming more attractive.
And that's the key right there, guys. So as US has to sell their bonds, they're actually amplifying other markets, the Chinese markets, other like types of investments. Because you see that actually the Chinese market, the currency is actually like getting better compared to the US currency ratings. And you can see that happening. And that's why people like Chinese are trying to actually try to resist that. They actually always want their dollar to be cheaper than the US. So you can see what's happening in the market, and a lot of people are just saying, yo, diversify, go into different global regions. And that's why I think I have a strong position in the Chinese market because, guys, you're going to see so much gain in that economy way faster than any other economy right now. So, and you can just see that picking up. So, you can see that Ray Dalio is worried that what will happen in the future, we don't know, but in time, the government has to be, they have to start raising interest rates at some time, and then how is that going to affect the economy? How is that going to affect the bond pricing? How is that going to affect everything that's going on in the markets? We've seen like a little affect negative rates or whatever is happening, just drops the market, it tanks the market when people understand what's happening with the Fed. So, man, there's a lot of interesting things happening, a lot of cycles coming up. So, guys, tell me what you think about this. What's going to happen in the future. Guys, if you like this video, like it, subscribe to my channel. I'll get back to you in the next video. Peace.